I used the word nincompoop in the written description today.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I am joined today by retired Master Sergeant John Keene. You are the NFA expert for the Morphy Auction Company.
That's correct.
You've been doing machine gun stuff for a very long time.
Not 40 years, but approaching that.
Yeah, and we've been working together for a long time.
Yes.
Now, we're here at Morphy's, and you have a bunch of cool machine guns, of course, in the upcoming auction, as you typically always do. But two of them jumped out at me, and I thought, this makes for an interesting dichotomy. There is a very, very early Beretta 38A. In fact, I did a separate video on that gun. It's got the bayonet lug, it's got the extra safety selector switch on it. And the 38A is a fantastic submachine gun, one of the best of World War II.
Agreed.
You also have a legitimate transferable Finnish Suomi. In fact, it's funny, I have, in fact, filmed this exact Suomi on a previous occasion when it came up for sale elsewhere. Also, fantastic submachine gun from the same time period. Very rare in the US, as is that, but two fundamentally different sorts of guns. They handle differently. Like the Beretta it's a much lighter gun. It uses box magazines that are convenient, although lower capacity. Fires slower. It's a very nice, controllable gun. The Suomi is Angry Bees. It's a very high rate of fire with a high capacity magazine to go with it, but also a very practical and effective submachine gun. So my question is, if you could just take home one of these two, which would it be and why?
That's a really good question. And it goes right to the heart of my, I've got some maxims of machine gun ownership. And one of the things I will say is, when presented with a competing choice for your limited money, always take and purchase the one you're less likely to encounter in the future.
And one of the things that occurred to me in picking these two guns is you're not likely to encounter either of these in the future. There are Beretta 38As out there, but not a lot of really early ones like that.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. But I wanted to get that way of thinking into this discussion. The other thing I thought of saying was thinking about this, saying if I had to choose one or the other, or could trade one for the other, would I trade my early Beretta 38A with Nazi proof marks for that gun you're holding right there?
That is a good way to think about it.
And that's a very tough call, because the gun with the Nazi proof marks that I have is on the order of rarity of that, maybe even rarer still.
But that's not the gun that we have here.
That's not the gun that we have here. So picking these two next to each other, I think I would take the Suomi.
Why?
Well, one good reason is I think I am more likely to find another one of these than I am with the bayonet, than I am likely to find another one of those. I have this. I really enjoy this model, and I'll extol some of the virtues of it over that one. The select fire capacity from the front and the rear trigger is really nice and really convenient. And I have only done very limited shooting with that particular model, but some of the virtues I have with that are the easily removable and cleanable barrel.
That's true.
The increased magazine capacity, albeit with a faster rate of fire. Once you're going to buy a machine gun, well, you're going to buy a machine gun. I do enjoy squeezing off single semi-automatic shots with a 38A or a 3842. But a machine gun is a machine gun, and you want to shoot a machine gun as a machine gun.
Yeah.
The fit and finish of both is excellent.
Yep.
And they're both very great, viable World War II guns. This one has some added mystique of having been used by the opposing forces that we came in real contact with, as opposed to allied forces. There's some consideration.
All right,
there.
so I figured you were probably going to approach it this way from a collector's perspective. Now let me twist this up a little bit and reframe the question as you are going into a gunfight. You were in the military, you deployed to a combat zone.
No question, this is the one.
Okay, why?
Because I can reach out and touch somebody at a greater distance with this gun than I can reach out and touch somebody at a greater distance with that gun.
You know this does have a semi-auto switch in it too.
I know it does, but I am very confident with this one.
Okay, what I didn't see coming was
I'm used to it. Now, maybe if I had the opportunity to shoot that as much as I'm able to shoot this, I might turn that around.
I did not expect that answer to be that quick. So if I'm put in the same position, well, if I have to answer this question myself, I have a bit of a bias here because I'm particularly fond of Finnish firearms. I'm working on a book on Finnish firearms, and I would love to have an actual Finnish Suomi, and it just is a more desirable gun to me than the 38A.
Makes for a better video for the public if I take an opposing position, though, doesn't it?
I suppose it probably does. Now, if I try to put that bias aside, and okay, I have to go into a gunfight with one of these two, the Beretta, honestly, to me, kind of seems like the wiser choice, if the less cool choice, because it does. Semi-auto on the Beretta is definitely simpler to work with because it's a second trigger instead of having to mess with an actual selector switch. But they're both very controllable guns, and part of me says you take the Suomi because it is extremely controllable, higher rate of fire, higher amount of lead downrange from
magazine capacity.
Yeah. Both equally reliable, no questions there.
And then I could start, and I have to say this, I like to make choices based on a simple, clear difference. And there's not enough of a simple, clear difference between these two to really say I would greatly prefer one over the other. And I will say this, when you start going into the nuance I'm about to do, I don't really like to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Okay.
How quickly can I make a magazine change wearing the accoutrements that I would be wearing with this one over that one?
Oh, so much faster with the Beretta.
And that was part of my consideration as a soldier going into a battle.
That is a real thing.
Yes, you might have 71 rounds here, but I have 40 here. And if I can swap into 80 quicker than you can swap into 142, and that is a consideration.
And those magazines are so much easier to carry than drums. Now there are stick mags for the
and how fast can I load this with the Italian loading tool? Reference you loading that.
Oh, I get to have a second helper loading magazines. Oh. That's the deal.
Oh, that's the deal, huh? But
you don't want to have to
I've got all three of the different loaders.
You don't want to have to load a Suomi drum under stress.
And, one of the things is one of the coolest accessories I have is I actually have a crank loader.
Oh, that's
for
cool.
That's very cool. Loads it right up.
Nice.
And that's a cool thing.
I feel like the Beretta is sort of the professional, wise, considered choice, and the Suomi is the more passionate, angry bees choice.
Well, I'm a fortunate man that I'm in the process of getting one of those. So, I mean, and there really are a scarce item out there.
Well, there weren't American troops in contact with Suomis really in a position to bring them home as trophies. And that's how a lot of our World War II submachine guns got here. That's how that Beretta got here, I'm sure.
The number of those guns that a very advanced and knowledgeable collector has, and he's a specialist in Finnish firearms, is 5.
Wow.
Aside from the ones that were brought back by citizens that are out there. And there were 5 that we know are here because they weren't brought back by somebody from somewhere else and then registered at Amnesty and sitting in a collection somewhere.
Right.
So that's not very many.
No, they are quite scarce guns.
And anytime you can find one, they're a hoot. They're a great fun gun to shoot, like you say.
Yes. I think I've convinced myself now that you can keep your Italian thing there, and I'm going to take the Suomi.
That's perfectly fine.
Oh, they're so cool.
I like them both. I like them both.
All right. Well, what do you guys think? Would you have a different? I mean, obviously, you're going to have a different answer than one of the two of us. But let me know down in the comments which of us is just simply wrong. Hopefully, you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me, John. This was a fun little dichotomy to pick through.
I always enjoy doing these videos with you.
Yeah.
And I like speaking to the public.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.